The weather is changing into spring and summer mode, and demand for travel heating up with it. We heard from executives this week from United and Delta about their expectations for the summer. Listen.
The outlook for summer is strong, particularly international. Our consumers are prioritizing spend on premium experiences, and that's our sweet spot. We deliver some of the best experience in the sky, and consumers are wanting to travel.
There appears to be a clear change in seasonality that is causing peak leisure demand months, March through October, to be even stronger, while months that were historically reliant on business demand are weaker. That particularly impacts January, February, and the first half of November and December. We believe demand is just structurally different than it was pre-pandemic, and we're still figuring out that new normal.
For more on the summer travel outlook, we welcome in Brian Kelly, founder of The Points Guy. Good to see you, my friend. So it feels bonkers out there when you go to the airport, when you're on oversold flights. But what do the numbers say about how demand and how actual travel compares to 2019?
Yeah, we are beating 2019 on some days. Now, we're definitely up from last year. We're not quite fully above the 2019 numbers, but the big number to look out for is staffing. We're only at 80% staffing. So that impacts every aspect of the trip. I was just landing at Newark the other day. Half the bags came out, and then it was 45 minutes later the other bags came out because I guess they took a break because they're so short-staffed. So the big thing for travelers this summer is pack your patience. And I repeat, do not book a connection when you can avoid it. Pay extra and fly nonstop, because the more stops you have, the more trouble you're asking for.
You know, Brian, I had some trouble earlier this week, and it was staffing-related issues. My flight on United was actually canceled. But, Brian, let's talk about airfares here, because consumers, up until this point, it seems like, have been willing to spend the extra bucks to travel. Do you see airfares coming down at all anytime soon?
You know, Hopper looks at the numbers. They're overall expecting airfare to come down around 10% from last year. I have not seen that personally. I'm actually blown away. I'm coming back from LA to New York in 2 weeks. Business class is sold out on almost every flight of the day, 2 weeks in advance. And then the only seats left are $3,000 one way. I've never seen anything like this. So the thing is, you know, Delta even said in their results, 75% of flights are, their capacity is at 75% for the summer already. So people are booking further in advance. So if you're waiting for a last minute deal, I would not recommend that. If you see something even moderately reasonable now, book it because it's probably just going to increase, if not sell out.
Boy, I'm glad to hear you say that, because I have never seen prices anywhere close to what we're seeing this summer. International travel, how does demand compare, again, to pre-pandemic? Because that is where you see the numbers just off the charts.
Yeah, Asia's still down a little bit, right? Tokyo is now getting back into the top search results. More and more people are going. But, you know, China, most people are still not going to China, whether for business or leisure. But Europe is as high as ever. And remember, you know, last summer, Chinese tourists, which are in the billions, they were locked down completely. So while we haven't seen the huge spike in Chinese travelers, there's going to be more competition in Europe this summer for those hotels. I'm going to Paris in June, and almost all the luxury hotels I want to stay at for the weekend I'm going are already sold out in April, which is just wild. So there's going to be more competition and more, even if airfares aren't much higher than last year. Remember, there's so many other parts of the travel experience that I do think are going to just be as expensive as ever, unfortunately.
Yeah, if you want to be blown away, check out flights to Europe this summer. And speaking of Heathrow Airport, we'll look at this security strike, 8 different days in May. What do you expect to be the impact?
It's going to be a little chaotic because this is the border guard. So once again, you know, if you don't have to, you know, transit through London, there's also going to be strikes in France and Spain. So it's kind of like playing hot potato. Germany's having some strike action. So when possible, when you're faced with connection options, try to avoid the airports with these ongoing actions, because it can not just impact the border force workers, but it's kind of a chain reaction. Everything's connected. People are missing their flights, and then flights get oversold. So Definitely stay on it. And if you do miss a flight, always go to your credit card company. If you booked your flight on, Chase Sapphire, Amex Platinum, they have travel delay and interruption coverage. So if you're stuck with paying hotels or other costs, always keep those receipts, always submit it to the airline, but also to your credit card company, which most people forget to do.
Well, a lot of people do forget to do that, Brian. So that's what happens if your flight or if your travel plans get disrupted after you plan. If you're one of those people out there, you haven't planned your summer travel yet, what are some of the things that people should keep in mind?
Well, use your frequent flyer miles. So I'm going to Paris in June, and it was $7,500 round trip any day in business class. And Air France has frequent flyer awards for 55,000 miles each way. And you can transfer Amex, Chase, Citi, all to Air France. So I'm getting like 6 cents per mile in value just by using my frequent flyer miles. You can even buy Air France miles at a discount now for 1.5 cents a piece. I'm basically buying it via miles, business class, for $2,000 versus paying $7,500. So while fares are really expensive, there are still deals using your frequent flyer miles. And remember, when you use your miles, you can change your flight last minute pretty much free of charge versus getting hit with huge change fees when you buy a ticket. So don't assume that frequent flyer miles are worthless this summer because fares are high. It's the exact opposite. They're worth even more than ever.
Important things to keep in mind. Brian Kelly, thanks as always for joining us, founder of The Points Guy.